favorite artists and celebrities exclusively. We will bring you all the latest hits, trending topics, and the weekly top 10 every weekday from 5 to 6.
And you're watching Kwetu Mix on NTV. Keep it locked. Our guest, Esther Ngugi, is a young lady driven by sheer passion in running a confectionery business.
So my mom quit her teaching job. I also quit my teaching job, then decided to go fully fledged into a bakery. So we turned my mom's small kitchen into a manufacturing bakery.
Yeah.
We'd take products to a shopkeeper. One of them tasted, he looked at us and said, "What are these you're selling?" Product ingredients started becoming expensive. For example, flour and sugar. So we closed down the business.
Wow.
Yes. That's 2014.
Wow.
I decided to fully go back to my calling. So just press, don't be afraid. And then use the tip part.
Oh man.
If you're buying because of a deco,
yangu client angesema, hey!
Tuzidi na Hustle in association with Safaricom.
Now this week on Property Focus, we look at quartz as a building material.
It is a highly durable material.
It's the best. It has veins, brown, black.
And an expert on what elements it actually consists of.
It's a mixture of silicon and oxygen. We find quartz everywhere.
Catch the show this Sunday at 5:30 p.m. only on NTV.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Lives. New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
In Kenya, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Brushing with Pepsodent removes bacteria and repairs tiny holes before they become cavities. Because every smile matters.
This is NTV.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. It is the 7th day of the month of February 2021. My name is Zainab Ismail. You're watching NTV at 1. Now, the National Council for People Living with Disabilities has condemned utterances made by Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed, demeaning nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura for his disability. The council now wants action taken against the leader, as well as an apology to Mwaura and the albinism community. Junet used unsavory words to characterize those living with albinism. He has since published an apology on his social media platforms.
With this, the apology is not an apology to Honorable Mwaura alone. It's an apology to all persons with disabilities, and we must call upon all our leaders to actually put a line. Don't drag disability into politics. And that is why our statement here is really because the utterances were not political. They were discriminatory in the form that they were on the basis of his disability.
Tunasema kwamba wakati tunafanya siasa, tafadhali tuweke heshima na taadhima kwa watu walio na ulemavu. Haya matusi ambayo tunaelekeza kwa watu walio na ulemavu si jambo jema. Mimi kama mtu aliye na tatizo la uwezo wa kusikia, nimeghadhabishwa sana na yale maneno ambayo yametendeka. Tangu kitambo tumekuwa tukitukanwa kama watu walio na ulemavu. Tumechukuliwa kama watu waliolaaniwa, tumechukuliwa kama watu ni ombaomba tu, watu wametuona na dharau. Hayo ni mambo ambao viongozi wetu nitakana wawe vilelezo vyema kwa jamii.
Meanwhile, Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi says he's the best bet to lead the country in 2022. But leaders from the Western region want the former Deputy Prime Minister to reach out to other regions if he is to succeed. Our senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi has more.
Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi's inroads in his Western Kenya backyard have increased in the recent past as he seeks to cement the ground and galvanize support ahead of 2022. With backing from Ford Kenya Party leader Moses Wetangula, Musalia has now resolved to consolidate support in his region in the race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. Allies now want to expand his forays to the rest of the country.
Kule Mululu, Mheshimiwa Rais aliambia Musalia ni wakati wako. Baada ya siku 3 nikakaa na Shinali na Mheshimiwa Wangwe, nikaonyesha Mheshimiwa Uhuru amenipigia, akasema mimi Mheshimiwa Wangwe, Shinali, turudi mashinani, tupange watu kule chini, wachukue vitambulisho, warejese na Mudavadi atoke Western, aende Mombasa, aende Garissa, aende wapi atafute kura.
Mnarelease Mudavadi aende Rift Valley. Mnarelease yeye aende Coast. Mnarelease yeye aende Eastern. Na kila pembe ya Kenya.
Mheshimiwa Musalia 2013, wewe ndio nipa tikiti nikaingia bunge. Hii siasa naongea, wewe ulipanda 2013. So I owe you. I know ulinishika mkono 2013. But hapa mbele pia mimi ndakushika mkono inshallah.
Mudavadi has hit out at Deputy President William Ruto, accusing him of selling an alternative development agenda from what the Jubilee administration promised.
Deputy President alikuwa pale, akasema wameamua kwamba shares za Mumias watapeana kwa watu wa Kakamega for free. Mimi nakuuliza, kama Mumias imelala, it is bankrupt, mashini haisiagi, imekwisha, alafu nakuambia watakupatia shares za Mumias for free. Ujanja wa ajabu huu.
On 2022, Mudavadi accused unnamed persons of trying to divide the Western region by funding politicians to frustrate his shot at the presidency.
Kuna watu wanaingia kwa Waluya, wanaambia Mluya huyu, wewe simama, wewe simama, wewe simama, wewe simama. Yani wanataka kwa eneo ya Western Kenya tusimamishe wengi. Na kule kwingine hawafanyi hivyo.
Give it one more try. One more time. I beg you. I come in humility. I come on my knees to beg the Luya, please, this time round, if our brother is on the ballot, give him all your votes.
Political leaders in the region are now calling on voters to register en masse if Musalia is to succeed in his quest. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV.
Now, still on politics, but across the border in Somalia, where President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo has claimed that foreign interference is a part of the reason for the failure to resolve the deadlock over the country's elections. The fragile country is likely to miss a February 8th deadline to choose a new president after days of negotiations between the central government and federal states collapsed. Mohamed has more.
A day-long meeting Saturday failed to break a deadlock over the Somalia's expected elections, with no clear path to a vote just days before the government's mandate expires. The February 8 deadline to choose a new president is more than likely to be missed after days of negotiations between the central government and federal states collapsed Friday.
I expected that the meeting would be fruitful. Unfortunately, that did not happen. As you know, Minister Dube explained last night the reasons for the meeting's failure.
He has, however, not lost hope, announcing that the leaders have agreed to go forward and make appointments for further talks. There are fears that the impasse could usher in a political crisis in the Horn of Africa nation, already confronting a violent Islamist insurgency, a locust invasion, and a serious food shortage. The election problem has been going on for a long time, but as the president said, not all federal member states are involved in the problem. There are 2 federal states which are part of the problem or the standoff: Puntland and Jubaland states. The president accused Jubaland and Puntland, 2 of Somalia's 5 semi-autonomous regions, of failing to compromise, thereby scuttling an earlier deal to hold indirect parliamentary and presidential elections in the late 2020 and early 2021. That agreement, reached in September 2020, fell apart as squabbles erupted over how to conduct the vote and deepened mistrust between Farmajo and his regional rivals, most notably Jubaland.
There is foreign interference in the national election processes, Somalia in general.
It does not name Kenya, but Somalia has repeatedly accused its larger neighbor of supporting armed groups in Jubaland, straining ties between the 2 countries.
It's clear the president of the federal government is responsible for all problems because he wants to rig the election.
Jubaland's leader Ahmed Madobe says that his administration negotiated in good faith but encountered hurdles and resistance all the way. A major bone of contention involves the electoral process in Gedo, a Jubaland region where Madobe accuses Farmajo of trying to control the vote from afar.
Well, if you can remember, Somalia had recently threatened to withdraw from the IGAD bloc over some of the contentious issues facing the 2 countries between Kenya and Somalia. We'll be getting more details of exactly what is happening there. Meanwhile, in Kenya, leaders from northern Kenya have condemned an incident in Wajir East on Friday where livestock were burnt to death and residents forced to flee their homes and their houses were torched. Wajir East Member of Parliament Rashid Amin is calling on security agencies to address rising cases of insecurity in the volatile region.
The conduct, the behavior and the work of CS Matiang'i, who has failed the government of Kenya, particularly for that of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in maintaining law and order in the country.
Meanwhile, the world observed a day of zero tolerance for female genital mutilation yesterday. And although Kenya has a law that prohibits the practice and set a deadline to eliminate FGM by 2022, incidents of FGM have increased during the pandemic. Married women are also opting for FGM voluntarily, a trend that threatens to undermine the gains made in the fight against a practice that violates the women's and girls' rights to health, security and physical integrity. Bridget Sangana has more on that.
A deserted haven could best describe the Samburu Girls Foundation. For close to a decade, this facility in Maralal has provided shelter and food to scores of girls who had run away from home to escape the cut. Enter COVID-19. They had to shut down in compliance with government directives, dashing the hopes of the girls they protected. Schools have since reopened, but some of the girls have never come back. COVID-19, it seems, fostered the FGM monster, with many young girls being married off.
I've rescued almost 10 girls around the county, and these are girls who've basically been referred to me by well-wishers and volunteers at the community level who just call and say that there's a girl here who's married off. And most of these girls are the girls who have not complied and who are maybe running away from home and are not ready to be married off. These girls vary from high school girls to standard 8, even up to class 4. COVID-19 really placed the pressure to the girl child because staying at home for 9 months is really, and being idle and all that, gives our elders time to just look at the risks this girl will bring if they're not married off.
For a long time, anti-FGM campaigns have targeted schoolgirls, but since the enactment of the anti-FGM law, the focus has changed, especially in the Rift Valley, where 10 out of the 14 counties in the region still practice the vice. Here, it is the married women who opt for the cut voluntarily.
Mama ya watoto 6 ya watoto 7 lazima atairishwa, na si ati amri ya baba yake, ni amri ya Bwana kusema bibi utatairi leo, kwa sababu unasonga ugali ya hivi, unaona kama maziwa unakamulia chini, unaona, kwa sababu wewe ni kirego ama namna gani.
Oftentimes people say men are supposed to be, you know, they should not demand that these things are done. Kindly note that women are pushing other women to undergo FGM. In Baringo County, it is not so much the young girls as it is the married women. Once you have your first child, your second child, you have to go. And if you don't go, you're ousted from your community. Because in areas where we have really enforced the law and ensured that young girls don't go through FGM, now we are discovering that even older women, age of 28, 30, are now going through this practice, especially in Narok, that's Transmara East, Bomet, and Kericho. It has become a serious phenomenon. Now we are trying to see. But now these are not, these are adults. It's not like they're children who need care and protection.
It is this very stigma that saw more than 20 women in Bureti, Kericho County, arrested for undergoing FGM in November last year. The women aged between 20 and 30 years are currently serving a 4-month jail term for failing to raise the 20,000 shilling fine for their freedom.
That puts a big dent in the agenda, both the SDGs and what the president said. How are we going to eliminate a practice that is so deep-rooted, where as a country, we are thinking that empowering women and the issue of economic empowerment of women is equivalent to ending FGM? That's a myth. That doesn't quite work in rural communities.
According to a 2019 report by UNICEF mapping out the prevalence of FGM in Kenya over a 30-year period, shows that while FGM has declined in some regions, northeastern, Nyanza and eastern still lead in the number of adolescent girls who have undergone FGM.
It's not a women's issue. Millions of lives are being affected. Can you imagine if 9.3 million women went about without their eyes? What would happen? It would be a global issue. There would be campaigns. We would do everything in our power. But most importantly, we need to educate our children from when they're young. FGM conversation starts quite late. Can you imagine if it was a conversation when a child is 6 years old? So that they understand by the time they're 10, 12, when it actually happens, that this thing should never ever happen. It has to be internalized.
In fact, because of the serious crackdown, this practice has basically gone underground. And even we suspect that some of our hospitals in some of these areas that are prevalent in terms of FGM, some of the nurses actually they do it at the hospital level when a woman is giving birth. She can be taken. If it's stubborn women, actually they go through FGM at the point of delivery. She may not even know. That's why we want to bring elders on board so that they can also take charge of this process. For me, being the deadline, we can even declare next year that we don't have FGM in Kenya. But what guarantees do we have that do not morph, do not come out in another way, like what is happening now? Yeah. So how sustainable is that? Is our biggest problem.
The fight against FGM in this country has always been a dicey one, sometimes pitting the women against themselves, and other times pitting the men against the women. Of importance is acknowledging the government's efforts in ending FGM in Kenya. In fact, it has about a year's deadline to declare Kenya FGM-free. However, the biggest challenge for the government is combating the deep cultural beliefs that still engender FGM in Kenya. Bridget, Ghana, NTV.
Well, thanks, Bridget, for that report and, of course, that very timely reminder. Let's take a quick break on NTV at 1. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Cabling tips. Verify and authenticate your cables. We manufacture an extensive range of power cables for applications in domestic.
Mdosi wako kwa sawa. Venye Nkirota ameniambia ajui na akimpigia simu ashiki. Hi guy, what
For the women who deserve more, Moped is now in Kenya and more than 40 countries. With its nylon-free surface, new Moped has unique softness and up to 100% protection. Your skin will love it.
Welcome to Insignia Service Center, a state-of-the-art service center that offers diagnostics, repairs, wheel balancing and alignment, and a fully fledged high-quality paint booth. Specializing in 7 brands, we are a 360-degree customer value chain that promises quality service, competent personnel, pricing transparency, and best price guarantee. Bring your car over today for a free courtesy check. We are located at Karen Road, Kabwagi area. Insignia Group, consistent excellence.
Makeup is a passion for me. I love beauty. Nililearn skill ya makeup na watch tutorials ama YouTube na Instagram. Alafu nikaanza practice na mabeshte wangu, and with time I would take pictures of them and the page would grow. Now people started DMing me and asking me how much do I charge? So that's how I started my business. That's where I get most of my clients, like 70%. Mi hutumia 1 GB gigabundles ya mobile data statement imenichanua kujua vile kila app inatumia bundles zangu. So now I'm able to channel my bundles on the apps I need the most.
Dial *544# and select 7 for balance to get your data statement, and you'll get free 200 MBs for first-time access.
New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching NTV at 1. Now, there are calls for enhanced cooperation between the uniformed forces and residents through community policing to maintain law and order within communities as more cases of petty crime continue to be reported. In an effort to build relations between the two, the police and the public in Embakasi, facilitated by the Rotary Club, held the first in a series of meetings that are aimed at creating a conducive environment for police and locals to work in cooperation. Sub-County Police Commander Francis Kamau says a functional relationship between the police and residents helps reduce crime and builds harmonious relations between police and citizens. The Rotary Club group of Kenya is calling on the communities to create avenues for such harmonious coexistence. The Rotary Club also donated mattresses, blankets and diapers to the police and mothers in Imara Daima.
We want to see members of the public and the police officers are working as brothers and sisters. There is more to that. because by working together, we are going to reduce crimes. The board of friendship will be there. Trust among the police officers and the community is going to be heightened. That is to say, we embrace that community policing.
Sisi tukiwa na karao mahali huwa tunadak. Kudak inamaanisha tunatoroka. Yeah, sometimes you are being harassed. Like I think section 72 of the Penal Code Act inasema for someone to be arrested anaweza either kata kuwekwa pingu ama akubali kuwekwa pingu. So but hiyo in Embakasi South unaekangwa hizo pingu kama hata ujui. Kama umepigwa sana, umeumia, mkono ziko hapo tu, yani unaekangwa pingu kama ujui.
We are going into a very sensitive period where we shall, as campaigns are getting into high level, we are getting into an election season, and we do not want a repeat of what happened in previous election cycles. So we here in February in Rotary is very important because it is Peace and Conflict Resolution Month, where we focus on activities where we can improve and resolve potential conflicts.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, that is KUPPET, has held its election for the Isiolo branch, who will look after the interests of the union members for the next 5 years. Now, the most contested positions were the branch chairperson and executive secretary. Solomon Mwiti Gishunge, who had served in the plum position of county executive secretary for the last 2 terms, lost after he emerged third with 60 votes. Moses Kimwere garnered 86 votes to emerge the winner ahead of Nyongesa Tabu, who got 66 votes. The chairperson's position saw Gilbert Lusweti garner about 132 votes to beat his closest contender Kirinya Mateo, who managed 79 votes. And members of a Madogo community in Tana River who lost their herds due to skirmishes have called on the Coastal Regional Commissioner John Elungata to reprimand administrators and security officers in the region for slow response to emergencies. The skirmishes also left 2 people dead. The aggrieved community members say it has been over 3 weeks since the directive was issued and the animal thieves are still at large. Elungata has been intervening between the 2 conflicting communities in Madogo and calling on leaders to institute peace initiatives. He has further directed that if the stolen animals are not recovered, the accused community ought to give the similar number of goats until those stolen are brought back. DCI officers are still pursuing those behind the death of the 2 people during the raid.
Sisi jamii ya Munyoyaya baada ya kuharibiwa mali yetu, mtu yetu kuuawa, mali yetu kuchukuliwa, tumekosa haki kwa sababu ya udogo wetu wa jamii. Tumekosa haki kwa upande wa serikali, kwa upande yoyote tumekosa haki kwa sababu mali yetu imechukuliwa, manyumba zetu zimechomwa.
Now listen to how awesome this is. So families in Kiambu were last night treated to a night at the planetarium where they learned facts about astronomy, space equipment and soaked in knowledge about different planets. But the real star of the show was when they viewed different asteroids through telescopes. Ngina Kirori has more on this refresher science lesson.
A vintage piano, typewriters, and even equipment that some of these little ones are not accustomed to seeing in the digital age, landline telephones. Just a sample of what locals were treated to. At the Apollo Science Park in Limuru for a special night of learning about outer space.
So welcome to the planetarium.
A science class out in space with stars and different asteroids to watch using optical telescopes. The excitement of learning something new was clear for these young ones.
A shooting star, when you see it going like this, it has a lot of air going, it goes down by force. Because it was shooting, now it has reached where there's gravity, so it goes down fast and hits the ground.
The Science Park has collaborated with the Kenya Space Agency to offer families the night of stargazing. Kenya is also placed in a prime position for this because it lies along the equator, meaning that both northern and southern concentrations can clearly be seen above the sky, according to astronomers. But it wasn't just children. Parents too had an opportunity to gaze out at space.
I was not exactly sure what to see, but I do know that when I look up there in the stars, up in the sky rather, I see a lot of stars and many things, and I ask myself various questions. Hiyo ni gani? Na kwa nini leo inaonekana hivi? And why is it different during at a particular time of the night? So I wanted some of those questions answered, also to get an insight, and also to spend time with the children in an educational background.
Idea here is the idea of a science park that talks about yesterday, talks about today, so that we can also think about tomorrow.
Astronomers say that such events are important not just for knowledge, but also in informing career paths in science for young ones. Gena Kirori, NTV.
Now that was quite awesome. Thank you so much, Ngina, for that report. In other news making headlines regionally, Chad's former Prime Minister Moussa Faki Mahamat has won a second term as head of the African Union's executive body. Faki was re-elected at the opening of a two-day virtual summit to focus on the continent's pandemic response. Faki received support from 51 of the 55 member states in the secret ballot. In a tweet, the AU chairperson says he is deeply humbled by the overwhelming and historic vote of confidence. The summit also marks the official beginning of the year-long AU chairmanship of Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi, who is replacing South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa. Tshisekedi has vowed to make the AU more relevant by taking it away from meeting rooms. The AU summit comes almost exactly 1 year after Egypt recorded the first coronavirus case in Africa, prompting widespread fears that member states' weak health systems would quickly be overwhelmed. But despite early doomsday predictions, the continent has been hit less hard than other regions so far, recording 3.5% of virus cases and 4% of deaths worldwide, according to the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention. All right, some sporting action now. And BetKing Premier League action continues this afternoon when defending champions Gor Mahia host their arch rivals FC Leopards at Kasarani Stadium in the 90th Mashemeji Derby. On Saturday, second-placed KCB ensured that they kept up the pace with league leaders Tusker after a 1-0 win over Vihiga United at Utalii thanks to Samuel Mwangi's goal. Meanwhile, Kariobangi Sharks went down 1-0 on the hands of Bandari. William Wadri netted the all-important goal for the Dockers. At Bukhungu Stadium, Kakamega Homeboys saw off Nairobi City Stars 2-0. Today, Zoo FC will take on Bidco United. Meanwhile, the Kenya Tourism Board has pledged support for the Safari Tour Golf Tournament Series, which sets the stage for the magical Kenya Open. The Kenya Open tournament will be held on March 2021, and KTB CEO Betty Redia made the pledge during the Muthaiga leg and Pro-Am prize giving.
What the Safari Tour offers us is an opportunity, first of all, as a destination to acknowledge what we have. In the destination, golf courses tend to be very beautiful places, and fellow golfers are able to chaperone those professional golfers who are playing and the junior players that are coming up. So I urge you all to please support these young players to ensure that, number one, they enjoy the game, because that's the future of the game. So as the head of a destination marketing agency, we see golf as an opportunity that can allow us to showcase the destination. We urge all of you who are ardent golf players to encourage your fellow golfers to stay 1 or 2 nights, or 3 nights even, after they have played, and we'll be more than willing to show them what magical Kenya has to offer.
Now, Manchester United missed out on a share of top sport in the Premier League after twice throwing away leads to draw 3-3 with Everton at Old Trafford. United looked set to move level on points with leaders Manchester City until Dominic Calvert-Lewin snatched a point for Everton in the 95th minute at Old Trafford. Ole Gunnar men continued their goal-scoring form from a 9-0 thrashing of Southampton in midweek as Edison Cavani's header and sumptuous lob from Bruno Fernandes gave them a 2-0 half-time lead. 2 goals in 7 minutes from Abdoulaye Doucouré and James Rodriguez early in the second half brought Everton level. Scott Tominay's header restored the Red Devils' lead 20 minutes from time, but they could not hold on as Calvert-Lewin slotted home after a hopeful free kick into the box with virtually the last kick of the game. A point aids Everton's bid for Champions League qualification as they close to within 3 points of fourth-placed Liverpool, who host City on Sunday.
Fantastic header. Back of his head. Luca Dean swings it in. Oh, it's flicked on, and Everton have equalised. The last kick of the game.
Right, and that brings us to the end of our bulletin this hour. Many thanks for watching. We'll probably be waiting for that game. Liverpool will be hosting actually, let me get that correct. I guess I'll be asking our very own, is it Man City? All right, so Liverpool will be hosting Man City later on. Probably looking forward to that game. That's all we had lined up for you. My name is Zainab Ismail. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
This is NTV. New Tuzo Yogurt Cup. Size yako, bei yako.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
New Year comes with New Year deals. Renew your corporate subscription and get a bonus. Subscribe to Nation e-paper for 3 months and get 1 week absolutely free. 6 months and get 2 weeks absolutely free. 1 year and get 3 weeks absolutely free. To sign up, visit epaper.nationmedia.com or email subscription@ke.nationmedia.com. Offer valid till 28th February 2021.
Rozi wa CEO, wewe mkurugenzi mkuu.
Nililishwa chakula kizuri hospitali nikatoka nikiwa na afya na ile afya mpaka leo naona
hata rangi amekurejeshea.
Na rangi yangu unajua kuna wakati ni kama niliibiwa kabisa mpaka sura yangu, rangi yangu,
urembo wako
wote niliibiwa. Shetani anaibaga vitu vingi sana.
Napenda ukienda na sauti.
Jamani onjeni utamu wa Yesu.
Sasa ndio nakwambia Sunday ndio hivyo.
Mama we, onjeni utamu wa Yesu.
Sunday.
Mwenzenu nimeonja utamu wa Yesu.
On NTV.
Usione nina raha nimeonja utamu wa Yesu.
Kuanzia saa 2.
Amen.
Utamu
nimeonja utamu 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 wa Yesu
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.